Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to the 404 show. Thank you for waiting the weekend to get back into 404 mode.
What happened, Jeff? You were at a carnival?
Yeah, I spent too much time on the carousel.
Knew it.
And after that, I went on to the spinny teacups.
Yes.
Tilt-A-Whirl, man. I love that thing.
Yeah, it's dynamite.
Like, even not doing this bit anymore, I love the Tilt-A-Whirl.
Do you? I can't stand
Something
it.
about the Tilt-A-Whirl, I can like make that ride better than it's supposed to be.
That's the one where you get pressed up against the wall with the gyroscopic force?
Yeah, it's like the eggshells.
What?
The little cart you're in looks like half an eggshell.
Oh, I'm thinking of something else. What's the one? It's a big circle and you get pressed up against the wall.
No, that's like the
Tryptophan?
No, not the. It's what the hell is it called? It's centrifugal force.
Yeah.
And which is like, wow, that's in the carnival? No, we don't want that.
It also seems weird because you can't. I guess the top is open, so you can see out the top to see like how weird it is that like the floor is not moving, but you're moving.
It
doesn't seem safe.
The only time I was on one of those was by accident, where I thought I was getting on a different ride.
Right.
I got on that ride.
Now this is happening.
It was like, this isn't going to stop. You have to endure these 4 minutes or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Nope. I like that. It's called the Tilt-A-Whirl. It's this sort of like rotating thing where you sit in these half eggshell carts and there's like a very thin bar that comes down.
Oh, is it what they're riding in Sandlot? And when they puke
nope,
from
that's like the Scrambler.
Okay.
You're just naming every carnival ride besides.
Is it the ship that...
Nope, that's
swings?
the pirate ship. That's exactly what it is. Anyway, people know what the Tilt-A-Whirl is.
Sure.
And you can lean like each
it's
sort of
one.
like
You're
each
trying
sort
to
of
whip
cart,
yourself around.
right? It's whipping around, and you're constantly going in a circle, and then there's another circle within your circle.
Yes.
And if you are with the right people and you want to play the game, you can lean to one side or the other to sort of play in with the force of where the momentum's going, and you
faster.
can really have yourself a great time.
Yeah.
Anyway, that is not why I was not on the 404. If you're just joining us, it's Monday, February 1st.
Yep.
Weather is 54 degrees
Gorgeous
outside.
day outside. This is real February weather right now.
No, we really appreciate everyone coming and joining us today. So my family and I went through a viral ordeal.
A harrowing, and it was not like on a YouTube or a Vine situation.
I wish it were
the
that
original
kind.
viral.
I would use that word with great pleasure.
Yeah.
But no, unfortunately, myself, my wife, little man Dylan, we all succumbed to what I'm just going to label as the neurovirus.
Yeah.
Which is that 24 to 36 hour stomach explosion that you have no choice but to just endure.
You are not going out that day.
You're not going out for a little bit.
Yeah.
It's amazing how quickly it comes and goes. I'll give it that.
Sure.
That's the only thing I'll tip my hat to. Everything else, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. I couldn't keep down water.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
No, totally.
It's just you have no choice.
Yeah.
And what's amazing to me is like I'm not a doctor, clearly. I don't claim to be one.
Sure.
And I'm trying to research this on Wikipedia afterwards because I'm just like, well, that was terrible. Let's get to the bottom of this.
Science it up.
Let's look at this under a microscope. No, doesn't work like that. It's just weird and it's in your body and it does what it needs to do, and then your body's like, oh, wait a minute.
Hold on.
Things were going okay, and now you're here and we're just evacuating like the Titanic. We need to get back to basics.
Right. And so to be clear, you might have found this out in your research. Do you stop being sick when you've essentially literally pooped or puked out whatever it was that was making you sick?
I don't know if like in the mass exodus,
because presumably that's why you're doing it. It's like that's why you throw up when you drink too much booze.
Well, it's poison.
Right. It's poison.
Your body's getting the poison.
Getting rid of the poison. So is that essentially
I don't know.
It's like the virus is like riding the wave.
I don't know. This amazing wave. I don't know what it is. All I know is that I got to the point, and I was telling you about this before, and I don't want to get gross because
it might be too late.
But it's more fun to be like, oh, this poor bastard.
Yeah.
Like there was one point where I had done what I needed to do, and I go to, and so like we all had it.
Sure.
So Stacy and I were like 2 hours apart, and like she started getting it, and then I started getting it. Luckily, he was already kind of done with it.
Okay.
But we still had to take care of a baby.
Sure.
Because we couldn't bring him back to daycare.
Yeah.
So we're like trading off taking care of a baby and doing this. And at one point, it hit me way harder. I'm not taking anything away from my wife.
Sure.
Not to mention women are just stronger and better
they are
of the two genders. But she's just such a better person. And, I was just like, I could not physically get out of bed.
Yeah.
I could not, like, if the apartment was on fire, I was probably burning along with it.
Yeah, but you had to get out of bed to.
No, but like after one point, I just like.
Oh, you were empty.
I was
and then
empty
just,
and
like,
done, and that's it.
Move. Yeah, because you had no energy.
There was at one point, I'd never been this close to passing out, I think.
Sure.
Where I felt the sweat permeate through my face.
Yeah.
Instantly touched my face and was like I had just taken a shower.
Yeah.
Looked at myself in the mirror, saw the color green.
Yeah.
Like not even like tinted, like, I'm green.
Yeah.
I'm in the Matrix.
Yeah.
And just collapsed to the floor. To the tile hard bathroom floor.
But you didn't pass out.
I didn't, but I collapsed.
But it was a safety collapse. Like you put your hands down.
Yeah, like I didn't
But
hurt
then you're
myself.
like, now I'm here.
And Stacy threw me a pillow and
Yeah.
and I laid there for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Until I could like crawl back into bed.
It's a very harrowing
It's
experience.
amazing that this is what happens to our bodies.
Yeah.
I hadn't been this sick in almost a decade.
Yeah, it's terrifying. Alex, my fiance, passed out. This was like a year ago, but was that sick. Like was walking through the apartment. I'm like looking like a little woozy, and I'm like, should I do you need a hand? And she's like, and then legit.
Oh, that's scary.
And I like half caught her, but half didn't, and like she knocked her head.
Oy.
And then I'm just looking at her in the eyes, and her eyes are like glassy. Like I'm like, man. Oh, she's dead. Like,
so what happened?
I mean, she had this.
She had that,
but was so dehydrated that she couldn't do anything. So essentially, I like carefully laid her on the ground, pillow, blanket, like whatever, and she like slept there in the middle of the living room all night.
Wow.
And then was better, but like it's not a fun thing. And it's like
it's almost like no, we shouldn't have that.
So, is there anything you could have done when you brought Dylan home? Like, could you have taken
we didn't
like a
know
crap
he
load
had
of,
this
because okay.
we had to bring him home from daycare because he just had like a bunch of diarrhea, and they're like, get
babies.
this kid out of
Who
here.
knows? Right.
He's pooping way more regular than he's supposed to.
Yeah.
And it's not what you want.
Right.
Get him. So we got him, but then we caught it.
Is that what they do in prison? If you have a ton of diarrhea, what's the play there? You just, I guess you have the toilet in your cell.
Yeah, I don't know. That's not something I want our listeners to have to think about right now.
There's got to be a process. Any COs listening, tell us what happens.
Any wardens in the house, shoot us a call, will you? Yeah. So I missed obviously 404. I missed Beescast. I missed plans and things I had to do. I was done. I didn't even get out of bed for real till like Friday night, Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And
sad.
We somehow made it out of it. We got out of the woods
survived.
there. So I'm back. I'm feeling great. We're
Yay.
back. I'm glad it's February. Let's turn the page on life, on health, and we're back in it. I'm feeling good finally. So let's talk about a few things that have been developing on the internet. Most thing we're going to talk about most recently kind of developed over the weekend.
Yeah.
I'm calling this a fine mess.
That's funny.
So, are you aware of who the Fine brothers are?
I am indeed aware. I would say that I was half aware of them before because I've seen their videos. They're known for, I'm sure a lot of people listening know, but they're known for the like 90s or whatever. Kids react to 80s video games, and it's a YouTube video of like a bunch of kids playing like Super Mario Brothers and being like, I can't believe they played this. This is stupid, or this is cool, or blah,
like,
blah, blah, blah.
Make a bunch of 11-year-olds play Contra, and they're like, this game's so hard.
Exactly.
What the hell?
So there's like, and those videos do astronomically well.
I think I don't have the numbers in front of me. I do know at one point they had 13 million YouTube subscribers. Right. That has since dipped.
Yes.
Because of
but not dramatically.
Not dramatically, but
sure.
noticeably.
Yeah.
about the scandal we're about to present. So this is weird. This is a weird sort of situation. I don't know these guys personally.
Sure.
I don't know what the deal is with like why they did this.
I have some speculation, but let's lay it out first and then we'll...
All right, so basically the sort of videos they do, which Russ just described briefly, is they do these things called react videos, right? So they, like we said, they have different demographics, react to certain generational
old people
things.
play video games,
right?
Or old people talk about how racist they are, etc.
Exactly. So they kind of had this announcement over the weekend where they said, hey, we're like enterprising this brand.
Yeah.
And they're saying, oh, React, the React series that we've done and created, well, we're sort of like enterprising that, and we're making that a trademark.
Right.
And we're copywriting that.
And we're letting people... how it was couched was not a copyright, even though they do say that. It was essentially couched like, we're giving you the tools to make your own React videos, and like we'll promote them and whatever.
They were basically saying like, we're Dunkin' Donuts, and would you like to franchise out our donuts and coffee?
Yeah.
Kind of, right?
Yeah, it's sort of like that.
And I think a lot of the fallout from this situation is kind of based around confusion, because people don't really understand the legalities of what's happening. So they said, hey, we're gonna license out our React brand format,
and they copyrighted the term React with regards to YouTube videos.
Right.
So arguably, their copyright would cover any reaction video of any YouTube video.
Is the takeaway.
That's the, whether that was their intention or not, it might have been, it might not have been. That is the potential end result of this copyright.
So some lawyers at some point got a hold of these guys, because I'm not going to go ahead and say that they came up with this idea themselves.
Right.
Somebody put it in their heads, suggested it, incepted it, whatever you want to say, because this just doesn't sound like the mantra, the MO of a YouTube celebrity.
Well, this is my guess.
This is speculation.
Speculation. But my speculation for how this happened was... Okay, so they have this successful brand, and they do these franchises.
And these videos kill it.
And they do amazingly well, tens of millions of views, etc. Right now, all they have in terms of like a long-term asset is their subscriber count. This is a valuable asset. They've got 14 million subscribers. It's very valuable, but that's all they have. Their fear, my guess, is that they fear basically anyone, whether it's a tiny YouTuber or whether it's CBS or whoever it is, coming out and essentially doing the exact same thing they're doing and eating their lunch without any repercussion. That would be my guess for why this was instigated in the first place.
Okay, so let's sort of pause on that and simmer with that a little bit. So you're implying that their videos, that they do have a very certain specific look to them, certain feel to them.
Yes,
and they've been able to cultivate an audience specifically surrounding that format.
Yeah.
Are you sort of like unpacking it as I'm describing it and being maybe that is...
No. So the important thing to remember is like, despite what they might say, their audience is not because they love the Fine Brothers, or they love the graphics, or they love the title card, whatever it is. It's just like a good hook. It's like a good idea for a very broadly appealing video.
And they've been able to get enough of these people who have seen these videos to click that subscribe button, because they want this sort of reliable, episodic, if you will, content delivered, where it's like, oh, these videos aren't the worst. I'll watch them when they come out.
Exactly. So the difference is what they're concerned about is essentially that format being, I guess, essentially copied by other people without the logical next step of course, this format existed long before they came around,
of course,
and will exist long after. So it's this very broad copyright that covers any React videos on YouTube that people are taking issue with and kind of freaking out about, rightfully so. And it didn't help that the video that they released initially was like them two who are very uncharismatic guys that just like are like, hey, so we're doing this and we think it's going to be great.
It was very infomercially.
It was very infomercially and stiff, and they just weren't it makes me curious why they would even promote it in the first place if their end result was just to cover their butts.
Right.
That might be a copyright thing where they have to like promote,
disclose it or something.
disclose it. Yep.
I don't know. If anything, and in the Kotaku article that we're sort of siphoning off, talking about the story, says, well, why didn't they just keep quiet about this thing? It could have gone uncontested for however 30 days.
And they would, and you would have seen people get takedown notices, but it's like one or two people, spread out, and maybe people wouldn't draw it back to, oh wow, let's look into this copyright that they got. They
just weave themselves.
They just wanted to make it a thing. They wanted to make it an event.
Right.
Like, how do we paint this relatively negative
as
thing
this awesome,
as this great thing that's going to help everyone else? And people saw through the bullshit.
And it totally backfired.
Yeah.
They have 13 million subscribers. They took a little bit of a hit. They didn't really lose.
Yeah, because the majority of the people watching these videos are not,
I don't care,
Redditors or whatever. Well, they might be, but it's mostly Facebook people. Oh, Granny sees this video of like kids looking at cute cats, and that's their audience.
Sure. And as of this recording, they've come out with an update video where they're just like the two saddest looking dudes.
The update video thumbnail, they look like Droopy Dog, or Eeyore.
It's just like it's like, guess what?
Are they wearing the same outfits? Did they change?
I don't know, but it just looks like they're about to tell you your puppy died.
Right.
Like, it's the saddest
it's terminal, you got 6 months.
Yeah, it's just like the saddest two dudes ever. And they basically go on about they could never have foreseen the negative backfiring that took place after we announced the React thing. And people just like, and now there's almost like these guys are the worst thing on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like, people, they still have their millions of subscribers. They're going to be fine.
Yeah.
But their sort of PR right now, their buzz, it's bad.
Yeah, it's bad.
They're in a bad place right now.
If I was them, I would go quiet and dark for like a month and then just return to normal. Do exactly what you were doing before, because no one's going to remember or care.
Yeah, like, they got to stop taking whoever the advice giver is, who has been like, no, franchise out this React, make this apology video, do all that.
Well, and part of this, and I don't know where their funding is or whether they have VCs or whatever, but part of this might come down to, like, if they're going through a funding round and trying to raise money, venture capitalists are like, hey, so what's your long-term plan here? How are you going to turn this from, I mean, the cliche is 1x to 10x to 100x of what you're making now. So that might be the reason. I mean, it's a money-making idea. And I mean, the really funny stuff is like they got their audience to like go against Ellen. Did you see that?
Yeah.
So Ellen essentially made kids reacting to, I forget what it was, toys or something. Old toys.
What were the circumstances of that?
Ellen did a video that was like kids reacting to old toys from the 80s.
Yeah.
And she was just sitting around with these kids and showing them whatever old stuff. And they posted on their Facebook, like, if you love the Fine Brothers, you need to come out against Ellen and people like Ellen who are taking our ideas of reaction videos to showing people things. Like, it's crap.
And even on the surface, if you sort of slice out the legalities for a second and try and take it for its face value, where you say, hey, we're going to copyright this idea. That just, I mean, anybody can understand how that's ridiculous.
Sure, but it's tough. I mean,
it is tough because there's a
line. And like, we look at like video games, for example. What is a clone versus what's the original idea, and how much do you need to change before it's a clone?
Same with music.
And music and really all forms of media. And so it's not a cut and dry, they're evil. But they definitely overreached and got caught. They got caught with their hands in the cookie jar, and now they're, they've cookie all over their hands.
They have cookie all over their hands. All right, well, that's that.
Yeah.
I think we could put that one to bed. Curious if you got an opinion on it, let us know. Hook it up. All right, so from my virus to the Zika virus.
Yeah, I'm not, again, a doc. You're not a lawyer. I'm not a doctor.
Right.
So
therefore we're experts.
I'm a little bit, I don't know. I guess I should.
Are we just going to talk about how we don't know anything? We don't understand.
I mean, that's really the case.
Well, the World Health Organization today declared it a worldwide emergency.
So it's not good news.
And I believe this is only one of 5 in the recent while.
Yeah, so
it's joining the ranks of H1N1, Ebola, and now Zika.
And obviously there's been a lot of instances where like stuff like Ebola obviously did not go worldwide. You know, there were a few cases in the US, but it didn't become this pandemic. And we've seen a few of them. What was it? The bird flu,
swine flu,
H1N1. Yeah, as you said. And my fear is, and maybe this is just coming from
the tinfoil
I took a
hat.
class in undergrad about how diseases spread. And
why'd you do that?
I don't know.
Why would you do that?
It seemed like
why was that a course?
It seemed like, I mean,
what was it called?
It was like
Airborne Sickness 101.
Something about pandemics or whatever. It seemed interesting.
They just show you outbreak.
Yes, that was like 2 days of the class. Clearly, the professor planned that one out. But they also showed us winged migration. Do you know what that is?
Like birds?
Well, it's a movie. It's a documentary called Winged Migration, whatever it's called.
So it's just like, okay, what is it?
It's essentially showing birds and how far they travel and stuff like that, with the idea being how bad it would be if one of these things took off among like the bird population, because birds just go everywhere. And long way of saying, I gotta, like, one of these things is gonna take off. We're kind of due. Like, there were some pretty deadly flus that hit in the early 1900s, and we have not had one of those in like 100. We're due for one of these to take off. And I don't know if it's Zika or whatever.
No, well, Zika isn't deadly, right?
I mean, it's really bad. Like the effect on children is like devastating. Like,
right. But like if you got it tomorrow, what would happen to you?
I don't know. I haven't looked that up.
If you got it, then got pregnant.
Right. So that's the problem. It's like, well, but that's a problem.
Yes.
Especially if like, because you can get it and not know you have it and then get pregnant.
Right. But you'd rather have Zika than Ebola.
Yeah, probably.
I'm not trying to say, we're not trying to pick your poison
here. This
here.
could be the thing that they were talking about in Children of Men. This could be the cause.
Maybe that's
where no one can have babies anymore.
So I think you're a little paranoid with the whole migration thing, and with like saying we're due.
Well, and it's spread through mosquito bites.
Of course it is.
They're everywhere.
That's terrible. That's the most, and it's spread through Kleenex. You know, it's like, oh,
how do you like water? Well, it's spread through that.
It's spread through raindrops. Oh shit. Okay, that's a problem. So you can talk about like a bubonic plague. Well, yeah, there was no modern medicine.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying we're gonna have this taken care of in 7 months, but our understanding of like how viruses spread is way better than it was during these plagues. Let's also not forget that like influenza kills like 80,000 people a year.
Sure.
And that's a thing. And that's bad.
Yeah.
Like people die from that. The thing I had kills people every year.
Sure.
So it's that is
mostly
there.
old people.
Mostly old people and really young people. But like there is like nature is sort of balancing itself out with that stuff.
Yeah.
But when you talk about
it's not bad. I should mention, like, if you do get it, like they're saying, this is from the CDC, symptoms are mild. It's like conjunctivitis, red eyes, joint pain, rash, fever, like generic, like you have a flu essentially. But it's very rare that anyone needs to be hospitalized. But as you said, like the effects on children are pretty devastating. With like they have like smaller heads and like
smaller heads, like that, It's pretty. That's pretty awful.
Pretty awful.
Oh, I'm not trying to sugarcoat this. It's a terrible thing, and you know, we obviously the World Health Organization declaring it an emergency in the way it did.
Yeah,
it's a big freaking deal.
Sure.
But you freak me out when you talk about you're like we're due.
I know. I mean, we are, but yeah,
it's
like the superstorm
stuff. I have a doctor.
Yeah.
My primary care doctor.
Yeah, sure.
He's a very good man, very smart man.
Yeah.
He has this attitude that you have, but towards bacteria.
Like super, like where they're
like MRSA. And that
because they're
kind of
immune
stuff.
to antibiotics.
Staph.
Yeah,
we're like, and it's all our fault.
Yeah,
because we're
too aggressive.
No, he claims it has to do with people not finishing prescriptions.
Oh yeah.
He says the fact that we like you don't take all 30 pills.
Right.
You take 19 and then you feel better and you're like, I don't need this shit anymore. I feel better.
Right. So you're still carrying
You're training the disease.
It's getting stronger.
Right.
Yeah.
And he says that, my friend.
Yeah.
He said something. I don't want to sound like I'm going to sound stupid here. He said something that really got me scared, and I deliberately repressed it so I didn't have to think about it anymore. But now I'm going to try and react and resurface that thought. Bear with me for a second. This is painful. He said something like MRSA is only responsive to like a third of the antibiotics it used to be.
Yeah.
The originally was.
Right.
Which is like really scary.
Yeah, because you're just going to run out.
Yeah, then what? Then what do we do?
Right.
Stacy had that.
Oh.
Yeah, she had that for a little bit. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's really scary.
That's why when you go to the hospital, they want you in and out as quick as possible.
Because as long as you're there, the more likely it is that you're going to get sick from being in the hospital.
And if you had surgery or any kind of open wound situation, you are begging for it.
That's why I think home birth is the way to go.
Maybe. I don't know. All right, we're not going to scare you. We're not going to scare you anymore.
No.
Instead, we're going to scare you with a break.
Yeah.
No, this is we're going to take a quick little break. When we come back, more 404 on this Monday, February 1st. What do you think, Groundhog is going to see a shadow?
Oh.
Thanks, Puxatony Russ. Dude, the Canadian groundhog?
Yeah.
He died.
What do you mean, the Canadian groundhog?
There's a groundhog in Canada.
Like Punxsutawney Phil?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Punxsutawney Phil died. They've had like 6 Phils.
No, but the guy they had lined up for this year just died like 3 days ago.
So they needed like a backup.
Yeah.
Bummer.
The alternate. Alternate is in Halifax.
Right.
I don't know if he's going to get to the main Canadian groundhog testing location in time. They got to throw that groundhog in a FedEx box. Oh, no, Royal Air Canadian Mail.
There you go. That'll do it.
Ship them on over.
Yeah. Much needed.
More 404 right after this. Hey, Russ.
Hey, Jeff.
How are you?
I'm lovely.
It's tough to read all the things you want to read, right?
I never have enough time. There's a lot of articles on the internet. You just never have enough time.
I just feel like I'm always constantly grasping at straws. I'm spinning all these plates and I'm trying.
How many analogies are you going to jump in here?
Let's see what else I got. Nothing else comes to mind. But the point is, it's tough to read all the junk you want to read.
Sure.
Right?
It's definitely true.
But you know what I got a lot of time?
What?
Doing?
What?
Commuting.
And listening.
Your
ears are totally free up.
Ears are free. My eyes not so much, but my ears are free. That's why I'm checking out Colony FM. This is very cool. It's a new sponsor for 404. Colony.fm, that's the website, is a service that uses carefully trained voice actors. I'm adding in that carefully trained part.
Okay.
Just because I think it sounds good.
Sure.
But using voice actors to narrate great articles and blog posts. So what's really cool about Colony, it's not just like some text
it's
to
not like
voice.
Siri.
Yeah, it's not Siri. It's not some computerized thing dictating the thing back to you. It's real people. It's a real person reading, and that's why Colony stands by itself. There's other services out there that use all those robotic voices and all that stuff. I can't listen to that. It just doesn't work for me. The people that read Colony FM stories sound like living, breathing, warm-blooded human beings. Imagine that.
New world.
Imagine real people reading real stories. Whether you're in your car, in the office, if you're washing dishes, or you're just hanging out. Or if you've got the neurovirus.
Yeah. If you're lying on the bathroom floor.
And you can't get up. Nothing is easier or more soothing than having a real person do your reading for you. So do us a favor, support the show, go to colony.fm/CNET. Go there right now and get the service completely free. All right, it's available on the web, on the App Store, and in the Google Play Store as well. Colony.fm/CNET. Welcome back to the 404 show. Oh, man, oh, man.
It's a sunny day, so of course he would see a shadow, right? Isn't that good that he sees a shadow?
No. The shadow is completely dictated by the Farmer's Almanac.
What?
Oh, what?
I don't even know what that means.
Dude.
I mean, I know what the Farmer's Almanac is, but like...
Yeah, they don't like literally see if there's a shadow. I don't think they do.
He comes out of his hole. He sees a shadow. He doesn't see a shadow. You have 8 more weeks of winter.
So are you talking about literally the Bill Murray movie?
I mean, that's...
Because that's what happens in the movie.
I understand, but that's based on the mythos of the groundhog.
I believe
Yeah.
the little ceremony they have.
Sure.
They say he sees it or he doesn't see it,
Right.
based on the extended forecast for like what they believe the rest of the winter to play out.
So they lie.
Yeah, because the groundhog, he doesn't understand
care
what a
that he has
shadow
a
is at
shadow.
all.
I know. I'm aware of that.
Yeah, so he's not reporting back to like
Right.
the leaders.
But you could watch a groundhog and be like, oh, there's a shadow there.
Of course.
Right.
Surely everything has a shadow, Russ.
So is the idea that maybe the shadow's behind him and he doesn't see it?
Oh, so
or that
you're
he
saying-
doesn't have a shadow?
So you're implying that like it's contextual in those specific location they have the groundhog.
Exactly.
Where he's like, oh shit, there's no way he's
Right.
going to see that shadow.
And what happens if he's like in shade or a heavy tree fall?
Yeah, no, you're totally right. You bring up valid points.
Exactly. A lot of holes in this.
Lot of
groundhog
holes.
issue.
It's such a weird thing.
Yes.
What a weird day.
It's weird.
Like, when are we going to cancel these? Are these going to be around forever?
Yes.
You think Columbus Day needs to be around
No,
anymore?
but that's very different. I
It
think
is,
There's a.
but it's equally as irrelevant. Like,
Yes.
I think no. I take it back, because Columbus Day actually represents something that is so awful.
Yes.
That
Agreed.
yeah. So whereas
right,
whereas
Groundhog
like
Day
Groundhog
doesn't really represent
and like
anything.
no one knows what Flag Day is.
Right.
Like no one knows what that day is.
Right.
Do you know what it is?
No.
I thought it was like a patriotic.
Is
thing.
it like an Armistice Day thing?
What is that?
Armistice Day was when they signed the peace treaty, I think, at the end of World War II.
And why is there President's Day for like two guys?
Oh, because they used to have I do know that. They used to have separate national holidays for, I guess it's Lincoln and Washington.
Right.
And they turned them into one holiday.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, that's why.
So like we just honored those two guys?
I think the issue was they wanted to make sure that they gave people a day off, but they didn't want people to go crazy over it because they're like 1 week apart from one another.
Don't you think it's absurd that like on every calendar you've ever owned, like February 2nd, it just says Groundhog Day, and you're like, what the? Why is this even
that
written here?
Impactful.
What the hell
my
is
life?
that about?
Yeah, people like it. I think it's a charming.
How has it survived?
Throwback, because I think it's a charming throwback with good imagery, and there's a cute groundhog, and it's like something to talk about around the water cooler. Oh, the groundhog saw a shadow. 6 more weeks of winter.
The only thing that it has like sort of given us
is the movie,
which is fantastic.
It is a great movie.
So I guess in the end, Groundhog Day officially worth it.
I think so. I think there's just no downside to Groundhog Day existing. It's the thing.
All right, fair enough. We're at an impasse on that one. Okay, so we get into the studio here this afternoon, and Russ's head is in his hands, and I'm just like, bro, what's wrong, dude? And you said verbatim. I go, can we role play a little bit? Can we like go back to that moment?
Yeah.
Put your head.
I don't remember what I said verbatim though.
Put your head in your hands.
Okay.
Right. Russ? What's wrong?
I don't remember what I said. What did I say?
You go. He's like rubbing his brows, right? He's like, I don't understand what my computer is doing.
Right.
I don't understand what it does. I don't go.
I mean, I don't like it. It is massively depressing and frustrating. I know how computers work for the most part. I like know how to install drivers, update stuff, get things working. I know how to do these things.
Like, I want you to channel that frustration that you must experience at home.
It's like, it's really such a gut punch when like, I'll give you the timeline of how this all played out.
Because, so we're talking about PCs.
We're
talking about Windows 10.
Right, Windows 10.
And for the record, I use and love Windows 10.
Okay, that's great. I'm glad.
Yeah.
And I have no problem with Windows 10 when it works. It's fine. I have no problems with it. I mean, all I'm doing is gaming on it. Like, I'm not doing anything else.
I don't understand where it's serving you. Like,
okay. So here's what happened. Tomb Raider came out on PC like a few days ago.
Oh, is it beautiful on PC?
And it's beautiful. It works great. Awesome. I haven't actually played it. My fiance, Alex, is a huge Tomb Raider fan. She loves Tomb Raider. The second it came out, it was like 9:30 at night. I'm like, oh, by the way, Tomb Raider came out on PC. She's like, what? And made me instantly install it. Like, install it within 5 seconds of that happening. So she's very excited. She gets her headphones on, like darkens the lights in the office, and like sits cross-legged in my desk chair playing Tomb Raider. Like she's just like,
Does she have like a perch?
she just sits cross-legged in a chair, which is odd for me, but like
Some people assume they call it the perch.
Okay.
Like I had a roommate in college who
Yeah.
said, I gotta get in the perch.
and that's what that is.
And like his hand is like ass on the thing and like both of his knees
Right.
up to his chin.
Oh no, she doesn't do that.
Oh.
She like sits
And
cross-legged.
he would play Counter-Strike like
but
that.
I can't fit in my chair like that.
Yeah, because
Like, it
you're
doesn't
a
work.
normal
I'm
human.
Right. She's much smaller than
Yeah.
me. So she's very excited. She's loving it. Days are going by. 2 days ago, I hear from the other room, Russ, can you come in here, please? And I'm thinking something really bad has happened.
Yeah, like
So
she
I come
broke
in
something.
and she's like, it's not working. So I double click whatever. I open Steam and I try to launch Tomb Raider and nothing happens. It like goes whoop, like a
What-
loading.
Yeah.
Not even a loading screen, but like Steam is like loading it up, and then there's like a bleep, and then nothing, 0. And I'm like, there's no error message. There's no nothing.
Okay.
Nothing changed over the course of those 12 hours. I didn't install anything. She didn't install anything. She was just playing the game.
And did you reboot?
I mean, there was a reboot, sure,
Okay.
just for argument's
I
sake.
know. It's always the computer guy in me. He's like, did
Okay.
you reboot that?
Yeah, yes. So we rebooted multiple times. She actually rebooted before I got in the room. So,
Oh, so
props
she's
to
there.
her.
Okay.
She knows her stuff. So it's not booting at all. I'm like, I gotta fix this. So I'm like searching online, Tomb Raider not booting. All it's bringing me to, by the way, I'm searching using whatever's installed on that Windows PC. I haven't installed anything else. So it's like, I should have installed Chrome, but I didn't. So I'm using Edge. So it's bringing me to the Bing search engine, which
you
is
don't want.
heinous. Because like,
You're like, what?
the top search results on Bing are exclusively spyware sites. Exclusively. Like, it's not like on Google where sometimes it's like an ad sponsored is the top link. The very top link is like fixyourpcnow.info.
Well, how do you think Bing is staying in business?
Maybe that must be it. So I'm using that and whatever. I'm like searching, Tomb Raider won't boot, but nothing's coming up. I dive into the Steam files. I double click on the icon in like where Tomb Raider is living, and it's like, you are missing MSVC1110.dll. And I'm like,
Things just don't change. What did you do?
literally nothing.
What
She
did you
played
do?
the game. We turned it off. We turned it on. Suddenly, not
So,
working.
okay, what the next step? You got to check the file
So
integrity.
I did that. I checked.
Okay.
I actually did that before I searched that. So I searched the file integrity of Tomb Raider is great, fine. So I'm like, okay, so I have a file name that I know I'm missing. So I'm gonna start searching. Apparently it has something to do with C++ Windows Visual something or other.
That's a bad. You went down a bad path.
But
there.
this is the path that it's
Right,
sending me on
yeah.
because this is the file that it needs. So people are saying, okay, I found a few posts from previous where like people are saying, oh yeah, I had that issue too. Download this driver. And there's a link to a Microsoft support page where it's like drivers here. Great. I click on the Microsoft support page. It's a 404. Like it's a dead link. I'm like, oh God, annoying. I go back. I click on the same link. The link works. I click on.
That sounds about right though.
I click on a download driver link. 404. Go back.
Works.
Click on the same thing. 404. Go back. Click on the same thing. It works now.
Yeah, it does.
What is? I can't even fathom what's going on with
That's
Microsoft's
just
site.
That's called
Where-
the spotty internet. It's just
That's not spotty internet. That's their site must be broken.
it's something
because
that's weird.
because it's like half of the time
That's
saying
bizarre.
these files don't exist.
But everyone listening has experienced something like that.
That is so bizarre to me. So anyway, I find the files.
Yeah,
I'm
you get it, you
installing.
download, you
I'm
install.
installing visual files from like the last 10 years
From
to
like
make sure I have
20
every library possible.
2006,
I don't know what these things
2007.
do. No idea what a
Right.
Visual C++
Sure.
blah,
Who
blah,
know-
blah
who
is.
knows what all
Who
this
knows?
crap
But
does?
the Tomb Raider is saying I need these files. I'm going to get these files.
And not only does it need it, it all of a sudden needs
right.
it.
It didn't need it 12 hours ago.
When the game was running before, yeah. We
Didn't need it.
didn't need it. Now that you've made it this far in the game, well, I need that.
I have no
I need
idea
that.
what it was. So finally, I get all these things installed.
It doesn't work.
It does boot.
Oh, wow.
But it thinks that I'm playing it in stereoscopic 3D.
Oh, wait a minute. I had that problem
Okay.
where like
It was
it's
double.
Yeah, it was double.
Right.
I don't know. I fixed it somehow. I don't know how
I
did
fixed it
How did
after
you
another
fix it?
hour. I went into NVIDIA's settings, and for some reason in NVIDIA,
Had it was like,
Ch-
oh, you
was
want
it
to play this in
checked?
3D, right?
even though I never checked, like what happened in those 12 hours where it was checked?
That's weird. There's something weird with that. I read about that the game was entering 3D mode by itself.
Ugh.
What? So I'm with you, man.
I finally got it right, but god damn
And now
it.
give me the spiel, right? You're going to be like, oh, well, this never happens on Macs. Well, first of all, Macs don't play games, really. So you don't have to deal with that.
Right. I mean, the games that I play, here's what I'm going to say. The games that I play on Mac, I do not run on these issues. Granted, they're not 3D graphic crazy game. They're running on my MacBook Air. So it's like FTL and Binding of Isaac and very basic games, but they run fine. You know, whatever. Chrome always boots fine. I never get these pop-up messages. I never get forced updates. Like when I turn my Mac off and turn it back on again, I'll know if it's going to take a half hour to reinstall all these files.
Right.
Because it asks me.
Yeah.
It doesn't just do it. And that's what drives me so insane about Windows.
But it's gotten better.
It's got
I
but
agree
it's
with
a
you.
matter of degrees.
I agree with you. There's still some inexplicably frustrating wonkiness.
And it's so ironic because it's like design. It should be designed for the mass market, given that they have that mass. Like they're.
So why is that? And someone smarter than us should be able to answer this. Where it's like, why is this still a thing with Windows? Why is there this legacy like patchwork, MacGyver sort of Band-Aid DIY thing that happens with Windows? Where like we're at Windows 10, you ask people, it's arguably the best Windows they've ever made.
Yeah.
And you still have to face these wonky, ridiculous, nonsensical trials of bullshit.
Right.
Like, why is that still a thing?
And nothing changed. Like, again, presumably something's changing. My guess is that when I turned it off and turned it on again, something installed that I didn't know was installing, and that's what screwed it up. Because obviously something changed between those 12
So you think it's like a
hours.
transparency issue?
I think it's a transparent. Yeah, I do. I think they're making updates and not telling you.
Oh, so Windows now is totally not interested in asking you about updates.
Right.
It's like, no, you need this.
Right.
This could be pirated.
Exactly.
This could be vulnerable. Right. We could be sued. You agreed to this when you installed me. I'm not taking no for an answer. You shut up. You sit down. You make a sandwich, and I'm updating.
I guess it's like a litigious thing where they're just covering their asses.
That's what it is.
But that's the thing is like you see. So on my iPhone, when new updates come out, I don't install them like instantly.
Well, of course, because you got to wait for them to get fixed.
Right. So you wait.
Right.
And that's fine. Like, I get it. No, people making software are not perfect human beings.
Of course not.
Bugs exist. They're very common. Yep. So you wait and you see what people say. The early adopters say it's broken or they say it's great, and you go off of that. But having that choice to wait versus being forced to install stuff is a big, big difference.
I'm with you, man.
And it drives me nuts.
I'm with you, man. It's tough. What are we going to do, man? This is the world we live in. It's already 2016. You would think Windows 10 would freaking just work by now.
Yes.
It doesn't.
Just for gaming purposes. Like
for gaming, it's rough.
There's just got to be a way to have... I mean, that's the problem because the hardware is so different, but, but just like unify it, where it's like, it always runs on PS4. Every once in a while, this crashes if a game's poorly made, but it boots.
It does, but that's because every single person in the world owning the exact same computer, running the same
Windows
version.
Do that
doesn't work like that. It can never work like that.
Why?
Because it's not it's a dynamic platform.
I know it bums me out.
You believe me. Now that you've been playing PC games for like a year, right?
Yeah.
Don't you feel like, oh man, there are way better experiences graphically and performance-wise on PC.
I knew that before I got in.
You knew that, but it's like, but
the question is,
do you regret it?
No, I don't regret it. But the question is it balanced out by the convenience I have of like, if I have an hour to play a game, do I want to spend half an hour installing updates and
it's not a half hour
to work? This took 2 hours.
This is an anomaly, though.
Compared
to like the normal, gameplay experience you have.
I just wish it would tell me.
I'm with you, man.
That's what I'm saying.
I share the frustration. Yeah. I've been there. It is your personal computer neurovirus.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. And it could happen tomorrow. Like today, I booted it up and it just hung on the boot screen for like a half hour and I had to start it and start it again.
It's a weird thing, man.
Why? It's a computer. Why would it make a difference if you restart it and start it again? Why?
Because it just clears out the cache and clears out all the junk. It's weird as like bunch of like as much as computers are zeros and ones and all that stuff, they still kind of operate on the same philosophy as like a car,
right?
Where it's like, you know what? Maybe you let that car sit for a minute.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, yeah. Or like like the human body, where it's like maybe you don't drink coffee the next day or two. Yeah. And if for whatever reason they share the same sort of traits as like organic organisms.
Yeah. I don't want to get off on a rant here.
No, but let's pivot into a rant.
Okay.
So while I was down and out over the weekend, I watched an episode of Bill Maher.
Okay.
Regardless,
is that still weekly?
Yeah, mostly every Friday.
Sure.
I tape them.
Yeah.
And I don't watch them unless I like the panel.
Tape them.
You
DVR them.
I know. saying that.
You don't just use like HBO Go though.
No.
Okay.
I have it
you
set.
Have it. That's fine.
I've got the files box that lets me record like 12 channels at once. Yeah. I don't know why I have it. I just do.
Yeah. And so then it's there.
It's there.
Sure.
And you know what? Well, HBO Go. There's no commercials or anything like that. But like if you like, we love the Goldbergs.
Okay.
We watch the Goldbergs occasionally. Let me rephrase that. And if we ever for some reason forget to DVR it, or it doesn't DVR even though it's set to, sometimes it doesn't, or like there's a football game that screws it up, we have to go and watch it on demand through Fios on demand. Right. But then it enters you in this like awful world where you can't fast forward. And you're at the the mercy of this awful torrent sites.
I pay for cable, and the fact that I have to use torrent sites to have a better experience is depressing.
Yeah.
Like,
that's shitty.
I pay for these shows that I'm stealing from the internet.
Yeah.
Because Time Warner or whatever it is delivering them to me in a really bad way.
You know, Russ, I never steal anything, but
I know.
I was thinking about stealing the X-Files.
Right.
Because
same thing with the X-Files.
Yeah.
Because the X-Files got preempted by the end of the AFC Championship game.
So it was off the clock.
I was smart and downloaded 2 shows after, or DVR 2 shows after it, because I knew it was football.
Yeah. Quote unquote.
Smart.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's
bad.
It's bad. We're in a very weird time.
Don't worry. They're losing customers hand over fist.
They are. So Bill Maher was talking about basically, and I'm definitely, sort of paraphrasing here, but his closing monologue was basically about the internet.
Okay.
And its sort of social ramifications on the human race when it comes to rhetoric and pretty much when it comes to the truth and what's not the truth. And he was making the argument that the internet's kind of like the greatest thing ever, but it's also the worst thing that's ever happened to us.
Sure.
And because there's an internet, people can lie.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter what the truth is, because the internet has convinced an entire generation of people that whatever is on it is somehow official. Mm-hmm. And it could not be more perfectly exemplified than the way it is on sites like Facebook and Twitter, where anything that your stupid asshole friend from high school posts online, it's just become doctrine.
Sure.
Where it's like, Josh put that up on Facebook.
Right.
Facebook needs to really kind of take responsibility for this. I think a little bit. I know that's like pointing the finger at Napster.
Yeah.
Right. But it's like, I don't know. Here's my thing, right?
Okay.
And let's use Facebook as a specific example.
Sure.
So like you put a story on Facebook.
Yeah.
And it's from some dickhead website with no credibility whatsoever.
Okay.
And this plays into the whole argument where like we've just lost the concept of credibility. We've like nobody like we're journalists, right? Like we have a lot of background in like fact checking and like checking your sources and double and triple and quadruple checking and making sure whatever it is that's fit to print is the freaking right answer.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And there's like that methodology, that mentality is not even a concept to anybody.
Sure.
To a lot of people.
You're right.
Where it's like, no, it's not if this gets published. Like, I didn't think we'd have to take that many steps back and explain the whole thing over to people again.
No, I understand.
I know I got finished with one kind of diarrhea, and now I have verbal diarrhea.
Right.
I'm just trying to get out so many points at once. But you understand?
I understand. There's no vetting process for what people post online.
And the fact that you can link to a story from National Geographic,
right,
and then bobsdickfarm.com,
yes, sure,
and those two links on Facebook look exactly the same.
Yes. Facebook actually does, for what it's worth, according to them, they do weight certain sites differently. So
in their trending stuff.
Well, not only in trending, in whether it appears in your feed and how high it appears and how often it appears.
I didn't know that.
Because you're not seeing every single thing in your feed.
No, but you're seeing Yeah, you're not.
You're not.
But I'm
seeing
seeing a lot of shit.
Yeah, you see a lot of shit. So, but what they do is, and it's relatively recent, but they essentially, for sites that like are page churny, like clickbaity sites, according to them, they downrank those sites.
You know who's got to curb that?
Who?
Freaking Twitter.
Yeah.
Twitter's
well, they don't do anything. I mean, the Twitter, you see everything.
Twitter's off the rails, man.
Well, Twitter, you see everything. Like, there's no filter on
Twitter's off the rails, dude.
I think the larger problem, and this is all legitimate, an issue, but it's not a new issue. Like, for hundreds of years, the concern that like some Yahoo who doesn't know what he's talking about is spouting some idiotic whatever on the street corner. This is just a bigger street corner, right?
Right. It's the idea that the crazy lunatic,
right,
who would have just, yelled at his fireplace, for all of eternity, now has the same sort of pull as any reputable.
Well, I would say I don't think that's true.
Yes, and I'm definitely exaggerating.
Yeah.
But my whole point is like, but there's a voice there. Like he has that voice now.
And I think the larger problem with that is not so much that he has a voice, but the voices that you're hearing on a day-to-day basis are almost exclusively similar to your voices. So the people that you follow, for the most part, the people that you follow or the people that are whatever on Facebook or what have you, tend to have the same vaguely similar ideas as you do because they're your friends or they're people you know or whatever. Okay. So there's an increasing divide between idea A and idea B, best exemplified by politics, but really applying to everything, which is to say you're not seeing multiple sides of the story. You're pretty much only seeing one side of the story.
Sure. That's only like one angle of it.
And that's what, and there's many angles. Another angle is like people, you were talking about reputability, whatever it is. People look to Wikipedia to a certain extent as like somewhat of a source for information. But there's this disaster scenario that plays out, I'm sure, very regularly, which is someone, joking around, or someone writes an article.
Okay.
And an element on a Wikipedia article has been changed. So let's say someone in a Wikipedia as a joke says, Hillary Clinton is 80 years old, for argument's sake. Hilarious. Someone writes an article, but doesn't source Wikipedia, just writes the article saying, Hillary Clinton is 80 years old, blah, 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 blah. And someone goes back to that Wikipedia article because they use the person writing the article used that Wikipedia article to inform themselves but didn't cite it.
Okay.
Someone goes back to the original Wikipedia article and puts a footnote on the Hillary Clinton is 80 years old, directing to the article as proof that this is in fact true. So there's this weird cyclical Ouroboros thing happening, snake eating its own tail, where people are citing things and those citing things are citing those people and constantly going on and on.
So it's like this sort of feeding disaster.
Yeah. This is all to say, like, yes, it's all concern. All I can say in to answer that is you sort of just need to know for yourself what a reputable source is, and that might change from day to day. You might think one day NBC News is a reputable source, and the next day, it might turn that the anchor was just like not on the helicopter that was blown up 2 feet away from him.
Yeah.
So like you just need to know the people that you trust and go with those people, but constantly be aware that these people might be up to something. And that
it's so tough.
It's hard. I don't think it's a new problem though. I don't think it's an internet problem.
I don't think it's a new problem, but it's definitely a more pervasive problem.
Yes, it's definitely harder to combat.
And, I'm not going to like glorify the old days because I believe I'm happier now.
Yeah.
I'm not going to like, romanticize when I was 8.
Yeah.
Because for the most part, I've lived with the internet my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wasn't online until I was maybe 11 or 12, but I feel like that's when you probably should be let loose on the internet.
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
It's just much easier to get a fuller picture because
Definitely.
and it's your responsibility to do that. Like if you feel like you're not getting the whole story on whatever it is, it's your responsibility to not only go to one source, but to go to 3 or 4. Like I go to websites that I politically despise.
So do I. To be like, well, what are they? How are they covering?
Right,
it?
exactly. And I find it interesting, but it's also important that you know the full picture because then you can sound like a smart person at dinner parties.
I just hate giving them those page views, though.
Whatever, your one page view is worth about.
No, but there's people like us who do that, and they
yeah, but the number of people that are doing that is very small.
No, I know.
don't think it's keeping them in
yeah,
the pink.
it's really tough. I struggle with it. I do. It's tough to be optimistic about things when you really, and I don't want to say we're like in it deep because the stuff we cover isn't really changing the world from a sense.
Yeah, but truth matters.
But truth matters.
Details matter.
Right. It's important.
Is Oculus Rift $500 or is it $200?
Right.
And what is your source for that?
Absolutely, and that kind of stuff. And it's just good practice. But it does drive me absolutely up the wall.
Yeah.
And it's mostly, the reason why I've slowly but surely kind of weeded Facebook out of my daily browsing.
Yeah, I really
routine.
don't. I go to Facebook, but not like I don't really look at the feed.
Yeah, you've really got to learn to just sort of like put blinders on.
Yeah.
And even with Twitter, which I do frequent multiple times a day, is something you really gotta.
Twitter can be a minefield.
Can be. All right, well, let's play it safe and call it quits right here.
I think that's probably for the best.
Isn't that for the best?
That was a heavy episode.
I loved it though,
this
man.
Is a turkey style episode.
This is it, man.
This
Groundhog Day,
making it happen.
All right, you got to listen to this on repeat on Tuesday, February 2nd for Groundhog Day.
Yep,
over and over.
Very important.
That's going to do it for us. 866-404-CNET. Follow us on Twitter at the 404 on Facebook. And then get into the subreddit, reddit.com/r/the404. Thank you so very much, everyone involved in that. Thank you for being here and bearing with us while I was a little bit under the weather. We're going to do another show on Friday, right?
Yep.
And we'll have to wait and see you then. Until next time, I'm Jeff Bakalar.
I'm Russ Frushtick.
This has been the 404 Show, high tech, lowbrow. See you next time. Today's episode of the 404 Show is brought to you by Colony FM. There's so much to read and so little time. That's why Colony FM just makes sense. Voice actors narrate the articles and blogs that you don't have the time to read, so you simply don't have to. Best of all, it's free. Doesn't matter where you are, the car, the office, just hanging out, hanging around. Nothing is easier or more soothing than having a real person do your reading for you. Trust us. Go to colony.fm/CNET to learn more.